Hi guys, welcome to Code Decode. So in the previous video, we have seen the basic architecture of any application that we work upon in an IT industry. The basic architecture and the fine-grained peculiarities of those architecture we have seen already. We have also seen the structure of any IT application that is created upon the basic infrastructure on which we work. Now, moving ahead, we are quickly going to create a CRUD, and please code with me because you should have a hands-on practice of creating CRUD, because in many of the big giant companies you are asked to create CRUD in front of them in like 60 minutes or 120 minutes quickly. So you should have a habit of doing that. So I'll please focus and try to quickly code with me. Please like, share and subscribe and comment on this video so that we are given more opportunity to create such videos for you people. So let me quickly remove everything so that we can code simultaneously the whole CRUD operation. So as discussed, there will be one main parent package, com_decode demo, and all the other package will be the child packages of them. There will be one controller package which is going to handle all your incoming request. There will be one entity or POJO, whatever you call, which is capable enough to be added into the database. And this class is one which is going to be transferred to each of these classes like a ball, right? So even controller is going to add everything to the entity, repositories, services, everything will work upon this entity, and at the end even this entity is going to store into the database. Now there will be a service class and a service IMPL and a repository. So since we are going to use a basic CRUD operation, all the 4-5 methods that we are going to use is inbuilt into this JPA repository, like find all, find by ID and everything. So we don't need anything, we don't need to write anything in this class. We can even keep it empty and our code will work flawlessly. Now in this service, there should be always two things. First should be an interface, say employee service interface. This is going to be an interface, a simple interface, and this is going to be an implementing class which is going to implement our interface. Why? This is the abstraction. This is the basic level of abstraction we always follow in an IT industry. So we have already learned the design patterns, right? So there we have already covered why do we create the interfaces and then classes from there. So you can take a reference from there. Now in this interface we are going to write the methods. In this class we are going to write the implementations. In controller we are going to auto wire our service. So what's our service name? Employee service, right? And we are going to always use interface as, okay, okay, great. So we have our service auto wired. Now we have to write the CRUD operations. So let me quickly start with the CRUD operations, and before that you must understand that your service @service, which is annotated with @service, should always auto wire what? Your repository, right? So what's our repository name? It's employee CRUD repository. CRUD repo. Great. So this is the basic structure that we always require. Now our repository is going to extend the JPA repository and hence is capable enough to do all the Hibernate related operations for us, right? Now in this, let's quickly say the first let's try to add something so that we will be able to get something. So let's first create the post mapping. Why post? Because I don't want my data to be appended into the URL. I want it to be in the, it should be hidden in the body, hence the post. Say I say save is my method post URL. Now I'm going to write public. I'm going to have a response entity as my return type, and see I have told you there is one object which is going to be used in every single class, controller, service, DO, everything, that is employee. So we're going to return a response entity which is of generic types, and it's going to take an employee as the generic type. Now my method, I can say my method is add employee, and always remember request body. Because why we are doing at the rate request body? Because this annotation indicates that the method should be bound to a body of a web request. So whenever I try to put anything as a web request and anything into the format of JSON, application/JSON, my this particular response should be capable, request handler should be capable enough to handle that request and handle the body. Hence, we are going to use the at the rate request body. This annotation helps you to bind your parameter with the body of the web request. So whatever request you send in the body, it's going to be bound to this particular variable. So I should take a variable here. So I know that it's going to be a variable of type employee. So I'm going to take a variable as employee and I'm going to accept it as a method. Now it's expecting something to be returned. So first let me quickly use my service, and I'm expecting a service dot say add my employee. This is again a method which is where I'm going to send the employee object only, and I have to create this. So here in STS or Eclipse, this is this great thing you get into as a flexibility. It says that create a method employee into the service interface. So clicking that, it will automatically create this particular method for you into the service interface. Now it's your responsibility to implement. So again, it's as simple as that. By just hovering over it, it says that please add the unimplemented method. So it's as quick as that. If you're using this IDE, your life will become very easy. So just clicking that, can you see I've overridden one of the method add employee, and what I'm trying to do here. So suppose in this service I've already told you what is service. Service is a business logic. So if the task of controller is done. What controller has done, it has accepted your request using /save. It is capable enough to handle your request body using this annotation, and it has created an employee object and sent it to the service, expecting you to be able to move ahead and save it into the database. So what you should do here is, the task of service IMPL will be to create a repository instance method call. So method call will be save, and what should be saved? My employee should be saved. As simple as that. And this save method always returns you an employee object. So I'm capable enough to get an employee object also here. We can say it as saved employee, right? Now once I have an employee saved, I should should actually return this employee saved object, so that even the person handling there should be able to see that something is returned. So once you return something, you have to make sure that even the interface also has the method which is returning something. Now once you have everything returned here, it's going to get you that particular object, and you can actually return the response. So let's first take it into a particular instance variable or the local variable saved. Okay, employee saved. I have taken from this method, and what I'm going to return? I'm going to return a response entity. So I have to create a new response entity of type employee. And what will be the parameters to these? There will be two parameters to it. What it will be? The employee which is saved. So this is my employee saved, and what will be my HTTP status? So are you wondering about what is this response entity is all about? So response entity is nothing but a beautiful object which is capable enough to be utilized to return anything to the client. Say for example, browser. So it's just an extension of HTTP entity which adds the HTTP status code also. It is used in templates, REST templates and controller methods. So basically I just want to say that this is one particular object which is capable enough as a single unit to be returned to your client to tell you what happened inside the controller or service or the repository. So client just want to know what happened using this one single object. So if everything is saved perfectly, I should get a HTTP status. And what should be my HTTP status be? It should say that it is created. So always remember, this is the best practice. Nobody will say you should do this, you should not do this. it won't affect your functionality, but this is the best practice. You should always return from a controller or response entity object, and you should never just return a simple object. It's because you should always have a HTTP status with it. Now when we go proceed forward with this CRUD, you will understand why I'm saying this, because while doing the exception handling, you will see the situations where you are not able to add the employee, you are not able to do anything with that particular employee. If you are getting employee as null, then what should happen? Then you should be able to handle those situations and return the status accordingly. So if it is null, it is not created. It should not say that yes, even though you are sending the null employee, I am creating the particular object, even though your code is completely breaking behind the scene. But you should not do that. That is why I am saying that, remember, you should always return a response entity object and not just a single employee object which is saved or not, because it is good for handling the HTTP status. Now suppose if you are having the Angular as your front end technology, then how would you handle different situations? Then these HTTP status will be useful for you to handle different situations that has happened into the back end. Your front end people will know what happened in the back end, why the code has broken, using these HTTP statuses. So if that is clear, let me quickly move ahead. So this is how I complete my controller part. This is how I've completed my service interface. This is how I completely saved everything into this. Now let me quickly see if this particular thing is working for me or not. So what's the procedure? Right click, debug as my Spring Boot app. So let me quickly see if even my request reaches this controller. So my URL will become what? My URL will become localhost 8080, where it is working /code/save. So I have this /save. Now remember, you have seen that in employee we have used a generated value of ID. So I don't have to put the ID explicitly in my database table employee. I should have one automatically generated using the Hibernate sequence. This Hibernate sequence is the one which is capable enough to handle all your newly generated IDs automatically. Whatever the value is here, you will see as the ID here. Let me tell you how, rather than just telling you theoretically. Let me show you how this happens. So here I am and my name is suppose code decode. Simple. I am expecting that its ID should be 1 auto generated and name should be code decode. So if I send it, let's see if yes, my control reaches here. My employee object, is my employee object created? Let's see if it is created or not. I'm in the wrong. See, currently it is null, but when you see into the database, you will see it as 1. Why? Because we haven't sent ID, we have just sent name as code decode. You can see we have not sent ID, we have just sent name code decode. It's not the task of controller, I'm saying it again, it's not the task of controller to assign it a new ID. It's the task of repository or service. The work of controller is only and only, and the service is only and only to handle your request and send it to this service. This service task is only and only to save it into the database. It will be a work of repository to give it a new number. So let me go do the F6 for you and let's see what is employee saved. So can you see my employee ID is 1 and name is code decode. So flawlessly our code has worked and our employee has been saved into the database. So let me quickly go into it and see I have created a new response entity with the employee saved and HTTP status saying it's created. Perfectly fine, it is created. So let's just remove the debug and see whether it is created. Yes, and see this is the response body that I have got. So if I am the client, I'm hitting you with this particular request and I'm expecting you to give me at least what you have saved me, at least give me the ID that we auto generated. So this is how your client will be able to see that yes, your ID is generated and your generated ID is 1. Your transaction ID, see this is how the transactions IDs are generated when you go to any online application. So this is how everything works around. Now if this much is clear, I am done with my CRUD में से the create part. Now it's the time for retrieval part. First let's see whether the object is created or not. The object is created in a table with ID 1 and code decode and the Hibernate sequence should be 2. Now next if I try to add, so let's quickly do that for you. I'm removing my debug. Just a second. Yep, it's so small here. Okay, so let me quickly see whether the second object is getting created or not. So now my name will be code part 2. So now ID should be 2. So let me quickly send this. Yes. Now my ID will be 2 and my name is code part 2. Let's see whether the object is created in the table or not. So let me open it. Yes, the ID is 2 and code part is 2. Great, we are good with the creation part. Now let me quickly move ahead to the retrieval part. Now retrieval can be done in 2 ways. You can retrieve everything what is in the database, or you can retrieve using just one ID, the transaction ID or the ID. So these are going to be the get mapping, because I don't want any security during this particular thing. I can send, say suppose I just want all. So let me have a get mapping as all. Sorry. Okay, so this is my get mapping as all. I'll have a method public, and now remember, you are not always going to get one single response entity. You are going to get a list of employees in the response entity. So how can I handle this particular situation? You just have to write a list of employee as the generic type of response entity. Response entity is capable enough to have any type of object into it. So this is the response entity of type list of employee. Now my method will be get all employees. It does fair responsibility of getting all the employees from the database. Okay, now I'm not going to take anything as a response body because it's just a get mapping. Nothing is going to be, okay, let me terminate this. Nothing is going to be coming into the response body of the HTTP request. So this is going to be empty basically, right? So let me quickly create a new request for you. We're going to write a new request here. First, let's create a whole end-to-end structure for it. So what I'm expecting, I'm going to expect a employee service interface to have a method which is capable enough to get all employees without taking anything in return. So now it says it is not there already, so I'm expecting you to please create it for me. But it's not going to be created as a single one. I want it as a list of employees which is returned to me. So in this, going into this, I'm expecting a list of employee to be returned. Now moving ahead further, we have created this. Now service is going to cry. It says that please add an implemented method. So I have started adding the unimplemented method. It says return null. I don't want to return null. What's the result of adding null as a response to the HTTP request? So I'm saying that please save all. So so I don't want to save, right? I want to get dot find all. So I have already shown you this particular method, right? So let me quickly go into it. So I have already shown you JPA repository, and find all method is the existing method. So doing the find all, it is going to find everything and it's going to return me a list of employees. And it's a return type is also list of employees. So can I write return? Simple. Can I return the list of employees as soon as I get it? Something is wrong here. It's going to return me a list of employee, and it's the same, right? Get all employees. Get all employees. I think let's quickly clean it so that no so it's the ID issue. If it is giving you that much opportunity to just do everything with one click, it might sometimes cry a lot. But fine, that's whenever you find such issue that there is some issue in or discrepancies in the code, just clean it and then see whether the real issue exists or not. In our scenario, there was no issue. It's just the cleaning part that was creating an issue. So fine, great. Till now we are great here. We are going to retrieve all the employees. So are we done now? In the controller part, we are going to retrieve this as a list of employee. So let me quickly create a local instance of this list of all employees equals to this. Now since I have got everything into my, now I'm just going to create a list of employee type. So I'm going to return, what I'm going to return? I'm going to return this list of employees but as a new response entity object. If you are still not clear why I am creating this, just spare some time with me and you will understand why I'm doing this. When we will be doing the exception handling, you will find the real reason why I'm trying to do this for you. So I'm going to create a new response entity, and this new response entity is going to take two parameters, the list of employees as a response, and very important thing, HTTP status. What is going to be the status for retrieval? I have retrieved everything, so please give me a status of okay. I've retrieved everything. I'm fine with the response that you are sending. If you have doubt in HTTP statuses, what are the used, what are the reserved keywords, or what are the reserved statuses like 401, 403, 404, and what are statuses are required to be used for the future perspective, what are these series, the 2 series, 3 series, 4 series, please leave me in the comment section. I'll create a new video for that. Currently I'm expecting that you know what these HTTP statuses are all about. Okay, so here we have created the list of everything. Okay, again some issue. Okay, we should have two arrows here because this is one is for this and this is for employee type. So great. Can you see we are done with this part, and let me quickly run this for you so that you can see that we have the changes getting reflected. Now let me quickly create the URL for you. So what is my URL? /all. So whenever I'm going to try to, this is just a GET request. It's not going to contain any body. My body is empty. So what is going to happen? Okay, I have removed this breakpoint for you. That is why I just got the response quickly. And it says your ID1 code decode, ID2 code decode part 2. So if you're following me, you can see that our get method also worked perfectly fine, and I've actually got all the requests, all the objects which were stored into the database as a part of a response. So this is 1, 2 code decode part 2. So I think you are clear with the get request. Now let me quickly move ahead to the getting of the employees using the ID. So it's again going to be a simple method which is a get method, and I'm going to say /emp/ now this is the request parameters and the path variable will be emp id. So whatever I'm going to send in my request, this after / it's going to take and bind it into emp id. This is nothing but a path variable. If that is clear, so let me quickly go ahead and add this get method into the controller. Get employee by id satisfies. Now see, the problem is when I was doing the get all, I don't need anything in the response body or in the path variable now, but I'm getting something into the path variable. So what I have to do, I have to use a path variable annotation here. And how I'm binding my path variable annotation? I'm binding my emp id with my local variable called as emp id local, suppose, for example, right? And I have to give the type of it. So what type I'm actually getting? I'm going to get int, or actually let me see what is its type. It's long. So why not let's take it in long only, so that our task is reduced further. So whatever we get is an employee ID here, it's going to be mapped to EMP-IL here. Now in this I'm going to create in the service. Now see, the flow still remains the same from controller to service to repository. Now here for service I need to create a method, new method, get EMP by ID. Okay, and I'm going to send this EMP ID which is of type long. Now it will cry and say, and what are you going to get in return of it? You are just going to get one employee object, right? So you don't need a list for that. Okay, so we are expecting an employee here, just one single employee which is retrieved. So I can say retrieved. Okay, so whatever employee we are going to get or going to get is a retrieval part. We are going to return it to this particular thing, right? So we are going to have it employee retrieved. You should always remember the camel casing part. Your local variable should always be in a camel casing part. Now it says it's again your response entity should not be of type list. It's just going to return you one single employee. So since this is working perfectly fine for us, let's see. Even this is not going to have the list here. Just be very careful while just doing the copy paste. It's a very tricky thing. I will always suggest, if you're getting confused, just create a completely new method for you. It's in my habit, so I do that. Now it's crying that the employee interface should have a method created for it with a long as a argument. So I'm going to create it for me, and it's going to return me an employee instance also. So great, this is working perfectly fine. If I save this thing, my service starts crying that please add an unimplemented method. So when I click here, its unimplemented method is automatically created. So can you see, ID is actually removing all the problems which you're facing for the syntactical issues. You are just happy to create your own logics and flawlessly code into an ID. So this is the power and charm of an ID for you. Now, if you want to get something and you want to return it, what you should do? You should return a method, existing method of the JPA repository. What is that method? Find by ID. So now I have this EMP ID here. So if you can see, I have my EMP ID already here. It's find by ID and it's a repository. So repository, I have already shown you this method, right? Find by ID. Now, one tricky point here is it's always written the optional part. So you cannot just do find by ID. You have to use one more method ahead of it. That's called get. So get is going to retrieve exact employee object from the particular optional of type generics from your repository, and it will give you that particular simple object. You don't have to typecast or do anything further more into it. Okay. So this is how end to end everything is done. My service IMPL is created. My service interface as the method. Repository need not to do anything because I'm not writing anything which is new for JPA repository. It's this existing one. And even my controller is ready. Why? Because this method is created and this is capable enough to give you a response. So let's see, it's currently not in a debug mode, so let's not even debug it. Whenever you add a variable, path variable here, say /emp/1. So let's say it's again a get method. So code in front, see the code is what? Code is important. Why? Because we have the request mapping as code. But now my get mapping has one more parameter added to it, which is EMP. So after code, you always have to write EMP / now this is the path variable. Now this path variable will be mapped to this variable, which is going to be added to this method as the local variable argument. And in this method, which is a service IMPL method, the implementation is given here. The employee ID will be given here. It is going to do find by ID into your repository. Repository is nothing but a place where all your data is stored into the database. It will get that particular data, return it to you. Once you have it returned, you have it here, and once you have it here, the method which we are using as a controller method is capable enough to create a new response entity with that method, and will send you the HTTP status as okay. So let me quickly see if these things work for me or not, but this is currently stopped. So let me quickly run this for you. See, I can add the dev tool here and stop my and your time to be wasted. But you will say that this thing used to be work earlier also. So that is why I'm not adding that dev tool here so that it can compile automatically. I'm not doing that so that you can see what differences are happening each time I'm coding something into this IDE. So let me say 1. Okay, now let me send this. So see, can you see, if I send you 1, I get a 1 object of employee, which is whose ID is 1 and name is code decode. So let's go into the table and see, is that the reality? If I go into this, if I send you 1, I should get 1 in code decode as the employee object with the return type. If I add you 2, if I give you 2, it should return me 2 and code decode part 2 as the response. So let's see, do we get the response? Yes, we get the response. So this is the beauty of the get method. We have seen the get method in 2 ways, right? The get method of getting everything as a response, and get method when you have a path variable and you get that particular variable's whole object as a response using the get mappings path variable annotations. So that is how we have completed CR from the CRUD part. Only 2 part is remaining, that is delete and update. So let me quickly cover the delete for you. So I'm expecting you to know that in the RESTful web services we have these annotations called as delete mapping. If you don't know these and you want to get in deeper into this, please let me know in the comment section. I'll create a separate video on all these REST related interview questions for you. Remember, you are always going to be asked about what annotations you have used for deleting in CRUD. What annotation you have used for getting something from the repository using the CRUD operations. So remember these annotations. You should know end to end what these annotations do. If not, just let me know in the comment section. Anyways, I'm going to create a annotations video for Hibernate and Spring. I'll create one more video for you using the annotations in REST. So let's quickly delete a particular instance here. So I say delete as this thing. And now again I'm expecting a path variable. So my path variable will be again employee ID. And I'm expecting that once you get an employee ID, you are capable enough to get it as a path variable. And I'm not going to return you anything. So once you delete it, it's deleted. You won't get it anything in return. So this is same as that. Nothing is going to be changed. It's just that the return type will be changed to void. So remember, what is this void? This is not void small void. This is a capital V, which is nothing but a class in Java, which is unsustainable placeholder class to hold the reference to the class object representing the Java keyword void. So this class actually represents the void. So it's just a wrapper kind of thing for you. I'll cover this void also in later videos. First, quickly understand the CRUD operations. That's the very basic thing you should know. So now it's not get. Now what I want to do is delete, please. So delete employee by ID. If I'm going to send you any employee ID, please delete that employee ID from the repository. So in interface, I'm expecting you to please delete by employee ID. This method should be created. And I'm expecting nothing in return. So the return type should be void. If that is clear, let me quickly move ahead and tell you something about. Okay, first let's go there and create a method delete by employee ID. And the return type is perfect. The return type should be void. Now service IAMP will cry, please add the unimplemented method. Just clicking by that, I'm capable enough to add the unimplemented method. The return type is nothing, so even this works fine. But this is not I want. I want my repository to do something for me. So where is my CRUD repository? Now CRUD repository, please do one thing for me. Whatever ID I am sending to you, please go and delete that by ID. So this is delete by ID and I have the ID with me. So repository, please go check this ID into the database and delete it using that only and only that particular ID record should be deleted. If my service IAMPL is completed, my service interface is completed, repository does not need anything, and the controller is actually not returning me anything. It's the any type return type is void. So my return type is going to be void and nothing is going into this particular thing. So I'm just going to delete it and the response will also be changed. It will say that okay, your request is accepted by me, and since your request is accepted by me, I'm going to delete your method. Now when we quickly go ahead, when we are going to see the exception handling, these messages will change. As if it is deleted, then only accepted. If any error comes in the catch exception, we're going to throw another HTTP status. So just stay tuned for the next video. Let me quickly cover these CRUD operations first for you. So if this much is clear, let me quickly run this for you. And now I'm going to delete the record 2 for you, which we have created there. So what will be my URL? my emp will be changed by delete and my path variable 2 will remain the same. It says method not allowed. Why method is not allowed? Great. You should understand this. See, it's a delete mapping. And what I am sending here, I am sending it delete. That is why it says method not allowed. You are not allowed to do that. Now, if I do delete, now let's see what happens. So great. It's perfectly fine. The response is 202 accepted. You can always see whatever you send there. You can see it as a status here. So yes, your request is accepted. What I have sent is perfectly fine. Let's see whether the database has the changes updated or not. So yes, see, can you see the second value? No, it's deleted. So I have given you the 2 and it is deleted. Now I have only 1, which is 1 as code decode. The second entry is deleted. So here we have completed our delete operation. Now let me quickly cover the update operation for you. So remember that in Java, update operation is as same as add operation. So what you can do, you can, let me quickly copy this for you. You can also do the copy, but remember to change the mappings. Just remember one important thing. If you copy, just remember what you are copying. In update, you should always use @put mapping and you should say update or anything. This is XYZ. It is on you. Now my method will be please update my employee rather than doing anything. Rather than saving, just update my particular employee. And this is as good as this, just the change that I'm not going to add. Okay. Now remember one very important thing, okay? Whenever you update anything, you are not doing nothing, but you are actually saving it again. So JPA actually provides you many methods: save and flush, save and update, save all. Here I'm just taking an employee object and saving it again, which will update your entity into the database. So let's see furthermore all those methods that are available to you currently. Just for the simple CRUD operation, this is as good as this. I'm actually going to do nothing, but I'm actually going to add that employee again. Now let's see. In the service, I have my add here. Yes, I have. Is it taking the right parameter? Yes, I'm giving you an employee with the ID also. Please update it there. Now, since you have the employee already here in the employee service, is my logic perfect? Yes, my logic is also perfect. I am actually doing nothing, taking an employee object and saving it again with the same ID. So I should get an updated ID here. And updated ID is returned to me and I should get the updated ID here. So this is as simple as that. Nothing the hi-fi thing into it. The update operation in the CRUD is as simple as that. So let me quickly run this for you. Let me quickly change the URL for you, which I was having for save. I'm going to have it for update. And I'm going to put my ID as 1. See, this is the JSON that I'm creating. Okay, so my ID is 1 and name is now updated. So currently my name was code decode, right? So if you can see here, my name was code decode. I want 1 to be updated as code updated. So let me quickly, now again, remember this is not post, it is put. Again you will get what error? The method not allowed error. So let me run this for you. And now if you can see, my object must be updated here, and yes, my name is updated, code updated, and I can see that yes, the code is updated here. And now this particular thing is updated for me. So this is a simple CRUD operation which we have created today. And today the time doesn't permit me more. So this is the CRUD operation that we have created using all the best practices that I could have used in the Java project till now in my career. So this is the simple CRUD operation that you can do in any of the interviews, and you will surely be able to crack that interview. I'm sure about it. But now if they say that this is not a good code, exception handling should be done, you should not say no, this is how it should be, because yes, this code is yet incomplete. It has two things incomplete. First, the exception handling. Second is the JUnit test cases. Both of them I'm going to cover in the next upcoming video. So please stay tuned with me. Thank you.